Up next on The Reveal.
What y'all do with my mama?
A Georgia grandmother removed from her grave. A family in shock.
No one could believe that this could happen.
A Metro Atlanta police force under siege following multiple 11 Alive investigations.
You know what kind of position you put me in? I'm sorry, because I can tell you've been drinking, man.
Tonight, more damaging video they did not want you to see.
I'm really afraid for my life.
A mother's desperate plea for help. 2 years later, she's in search of her son. The Reveal begins now.
Welcome to the premiere of The Reveal, a show dedicated to life-changing investigations.
And we begin with the disappearance of a grandmother's body and the state health department accused of allowing it to vanish.
I try to come at least once or twice a month.
When Patricia Mincy needs comfort, she comes to speak to her mom.
Hey, Mom.
Even though she knows she can't talk back.
I wish you was here. I need to talk to you. You just don't know how much I miss you, Mom.
Mincy says her mother, Carrie Brown Sutton, was the backbone of the family.
Very proud.
A mother of 11 children in Brunswick. This is her in 1984 at a family wedding.
All right, see you later.
Like always, taking charge.
She was like the glue to the family. She kept everything together.
Sutton died from cancer in 1990, buried right next to her daughter Margaret Nelson, who passed away a few years before. For 28 years, when Mincy needed her mom, she always knew where to find her. Until last year, when Mincy and her siblings attended a family funeral at the same cemetery, they arrived at their mother's grave to find her missing.
I just couldn't believe what had happened.
What y'all do with my mama?
No one could believe that this could happen.
Oh my gosh, I know they didn't.
Where did they tell you they moved her to?
Nobody said anything. All I know, it wasn't there.
It gets worse. They learned their mother was replaced with the body of a man the family knew all too well, Gary Nelson, their sister Margaret's ex-husband. In their 1983 divorce filings, she accused Nelson of abusing her for years, claiming he severely beat her.
This plot was not for him. As they say in the world, she'd be turning over in her grave. Because that's why, she didn't want, that's why she divorced him.
Here's how it happened. According to the county registrar, a family member filed this application through a funeral home last year with the Georgia Department of Public Health to have Miss Sutton dug up and replaced with Mr. Nelson. Once someone is buried, the state essentially owns the body, and you must seek permission to move it. To move Sutton, that family member signed and falsely claimed to own the burial plot. The state never requested documentation to prove it. Sherry Allen is the family's attorney.
No one checked a birth certificate. No one checked the contract that was with the city of Brunswick showing that she had purchased the plot. It was faxed to them. They issued a permit, and that was it.
The one other thing that
Dr. Patrick O'Neill is the commissioner of the Department of Public Health.
So the state doesn't require any documented proof of ownership plot or kinship to the person being dug up?
No documentation, only the signature of individuals that have the authority to make those decisions.
Commissioner O'Neill also says no permit is required to move a body if it's within the same cemetery, as Sutton's family later learned what happened to their mom. So why did the county registrar require one to dig up Miss Sutton? O'Neill says the agency cannot comment on pending litigation. A few months after Miss Sutton's body went missing, the state health department changed one of its rules. Not to tighten its regulations, but a move some believe will make it easier to disturb the dead. Starting this year, county registrars are now able to appoint private citizens to approve permits to dig up the deceased. The state suggests using funeral home workers, but that's not required, nor does the state mandate training for them.
It makes no sense whatsoever to me, because the citizens of Georgia are at greater risk if it's not just the person who has been trained, what the procedure is, but that person then in turn can authorize someone else to do it for them.
God, I miss you so much.
Sutton's family eventually recovered their mother's body, reburied her in the same plot, and now pray the next time they need their mom, they hope to know where to find her.
People need to know what is going on, and I mean, it happened to us, it can happen to somebody else.
Andy, the commissioner is saying it takes nothing more than the stroke of a pen to move a body?
That's right. It only takes 4 signatures: the person applying to move the body, the owner of the plot, the funeral home, and the person actually digging up the body. The only person whose signature needs to be notarized is the person applying for that permit.
And this family is wanting to file a lawsuit. Do you know the status of that?
They haven't filed the lawsuit yet, but I can tell you the family is seeking more than $1 million from the state.
Up next on The Reveal.
Because I can tell you've been drinking, man.
A Metro Atlanta police officer suspected of driving under the influence. Did he get a free pass?
Our investigations of the Roswell Police Department have reverberated across the nation and around the globe. We broke the stories of a driver arrested for speeding on the flip of a coin, a police dog attacking a young suspect, and a 13-year-old boy who was intentionally left in the cold.
Getting cold yet? Because I've got heat in this car.
To extract a confession, all in Roswell. Tonight, there's more body camera footage with intentionally muted microphones and hidden documents, all showing a police department that treats its officers far different than the citizens they're sworn to protect. A Roswell police officer pulls over a speeding car before discovering the driver is a buddy from the same department.
Hey, it's Ramuna.
Hey, man.
Hey, well, sorry, man.
What are you doing?
I just hit it for a second.
Officer Danny Ramuno was stopped for speeding and reckless driving.
I just hit it for a second, I'm sorry.
You know what kind of position you put me in?
No, I'm sorry.
Because I can tell you've been drinking, man.
I only had a drink, I'm sorry.
You only had a drink?
That's it.
Put your feet together.
I'm not doing any field sobriety.
That's fair.
So, that's what it is.
Okay, that's perfectly fair. You know, that's you're right to do that.
Officer Johnny Burnett calls for a supervisor.
He's been drinking.
But when the lieutenant shows up,
street on line.
It's okay. You are.
Okay.
The officer cuts the mic on his body camera. Where's the sound?
It's gone.
Why would they do that?
Because they're gonna let him go.
Stay in the car.
Sarah Webb knows what it's like to be pulled over by Roswell police for speeding and reckless driving.
Turn off the car and pass me the keys, please.
2 officers arrested her on the flip of a coin.
A head, R tail.
Okay. Step out of the vehicle. Turn around, put your hands behind your back.
Before any of these stories broke, we showed her the video of Officer Ramuno, also stopped for speeding and reckless driving, but unlike Webb, let go with a verbal warning.
Put me in a bad spot.
It's not your fault. I'm not mad at you.
They never raised their voice at him. They were very kind, gave him a break, yet the second that I started talking to her, it was just hostility.
Take a look at the 2 stops side by side.
Stay in the car.
Sorry, my window doesn't hold.
Off to Brown Roswell Police Department. You know how fast you were just going, ma'am?
I'm so sorry, I'm late for work.
Hey, it's Ramuna.
Hey, man.
Hey, well, sorry, man.
Turn off the car and pass me the keys, please.
You know as well as I do, with no tests and the only evidence is some bloodshot, watery eyes, but you're crying about your sister, it wouldn't look good in court anyways. So there's no way that this would be useful at all. It wouldn't help you. It wouldn't keep anybody safe on the road. I mean, you're already hung. But you have got to talk to somebody, man.
Were you given any benefit of the doubt like that officer was?
No.
Did they ask you what was going on in your life?
No.
2 wrongs don't make a right. If we were wrong with Sarah Webb, like I say that we are, had we taken Daniel Ramuno to jail just because he was a Roswell police officer, that would have been wrong too.
Chief Rusty Grant has no problem with the way Roswell police handled the stop of one of their own.
I imagine you're doing a code 5. Now I have the case number.
Or the fact the case number was voided and replaced with a hard-to-find internal memo. Why no police report? Why no incident report?
Typically, if we write a warning, or something similar to that, we don't write an incident report.
Do you always write a memo? Do you always have the officer write a memo?
No, we don't. And actually,
so why write a memo that isn't easy to find in public records, and not write an incident report that is easy to find in public records?
It wasn't to try to keep the information from anybody, because to be...
This was withheld from me until I specifically asked for it.
Right, well, the open records folks wasn't aware that existed, because they typically search a database, and that wasn't within the database.
And then was that in the intent of not having an incident report?
No, there was no attempt to cover this up or to hide this at all.
Why mute the body cameras then?
That's a good question.
You want this one paused too? It doesn't matter. I don't even know how to pause this thing anyway.
The body cameras were muted. We asked for all video, and the records department only gave us the body cam. And for a month more, we tried to get the dash cam, and it was refused. They didn't even respond to us. It turns out the dash cam caught some of the missing audio.
That's right. Officer Burnett's wireless mic was still recording on the dash camera. We had to threaten a lawsuit to get this video, and now you can hear what they were hiding.
What do you want to do? He's already admitted he's been drinking. When he went to hand his girlfriend his wallet, he fell up against the car. And I told him, I was like, man, you put me in a bad spot. I agree.
Right before deciding to let Officer Ramuno go, they cut all the mics a second time, a feature the body camera vendor prohibits by default. Roswell police commanders had to actively choose to enable muting department-wide.
Officers are muting their dash cam, muting their body cam to talk about another officer and whether they're going to arrest him. There is only one reason to do that, and that's to avoid public scrutiny.
You know, we're doing it the way that we think we should do it. We're not trying to hide anything, but it's not a cover-up.
He's not going to jail or anything. I'm parking the car.
Police park Officer Ramuno's car for him because, according to the internal memo, the two passengers were also intoxicated.
Just keep in mind, yep, I have a camera on, so just don't say anything.
I'm not saying a word. The coin flip officers were fired after you broke the story. So where's the accountability and the transparency?
We had to fight, Faith, for almost every video we got from the Roswell Police Department. Eventually, they posted all of them online on a city website, but only after we broke the stories and other media outlets across the nation and across the globe picked it up.
Unbelievable. Up next on The Reveal.
There's no proof that he's dead, and there's no proof that he's alive.
A mother's desperate search for her son.
A 20-year-old disappears after a bizarre fight with his family, never to be seen again.
2 years later, The Reveal takes you inside the search for any signs of life.
Please tell him, don't kill him.
On the 911 calls, you can hear a mother's desperate plea as police enter her son's apartment.
Just stun him. If you have to, but don't kill him, please.
There were several 911 calls for help that night, but this would be the last.
One of you is telling police, don't shoot him.
He is a big guy. He potentially was under the influence of something, and no, I did not want them to kill my son.
Her son, Decorius Jones, was having hallucinations. His girlfriend, the woman he loved, was now a demon, the devil.
So when he seen her, it's like he just went into a rage, because like I said, he was telling me she the devil. Mama, don't talk to her. She the devil. She the devil.
Hello? Jones's girlfriend was the first to call police while hiding under the stairs outside their apartment at the Sugarloaf Crossing in Lawrenceville.
I don't know what's wrong with him. He's hitting me. He's grabbing me.
And when he tried to choke her, she somehow managed to get free. Not even his mom, Shakura, could calm his rage. She, too, had to run to safety.
He was trying to force something in my mouth. Trying to bite him, then he hit me in my head. Just stay on the phone with me, okay? But I'm really afraid for my life.
But as police canvassed the apartment, she was afraid for her son's life as well. Police never did shoot, though. Police never found him.
So this is his wallet?
All his stuff, his ID, his bank card, all his personal information.
Stuff you can't really get far if you don't have.
Jones ran out of the apartment wearing only a pair of navy blue basketball shorts. No shirt, no shoes, no car keys, no cell phone. His mom now carries his wallet everywhere she goes, along with a picture of her son.
The first weekend it happened, we put out over 4,000 flyers.
That was in 2016. Decorius Jones hasn't been seen since.
He was right here.
When the family reached out to a private investigator, they prepared for the worst.
We searched that entire section of woods, and it backs up to 316.
Jones's girlfriend thought he ran into the thicket of brush behind the apartments. A K-9 team went in, this time looking for bones.
I was thinking for sure we'd find him. There's no proof that he's dead, and there's no proof that he's alive.
But there is proof someone introduced Decorius Jones to acid, or LSD, a week before he disappeared. He told his mom, dad, even his girlfriend, just days before, the face once filled with joy could see nothing but darkness.
So I think it's curiosity, you know. He told me he had tried it. And I'm like, don't try it no more.
Are you afraid he did try it one more?
I think he did.
Well, we hear a lot about heroin and opioids. Neil Campbell, director of the Georgia Council on Substance Abuse, says acid is making a comeback, up 40% in just 2 years among young adults.
I think a lot of it has to do with the perception of harm, and if they perceive something to be harmful, they're less likely to use it.
While LSD may seem safe, the mystery behind who and how it's manufactured makes it as dangerous as any other drug.
You have no earthly idea of what you're putting in your body. And you can have psychosis, what we call drug-induced psychosis. And some people don't come back from it.
What do you mean?
It's altered the function and the structure of their brain. He could have been hospitalized, he could have been injured, he could have amnesia.
Whatever happened, his mom insists he is alive, hiding, or hurting.
So what would you tell him then?
I love you, come on. Whatever we need to do, we can do it together as a family.
Hard to imagine what this family is going through. Do they have any idea where he might be?
They have a private investigator that continues to check in with friends, family, co-workers, homeless shelters, hospitals. So far, no sign of him. At this point in time, they don't even know if he remembers what happened, who he is, or if he's even in Georgia. What I can tell you is that his mother keeps his cell phone charged and active at all times, just in case the only number he remembers is his own.
And the reveal will be back in a moment.
If you have a news tip or want to comment on one of our stories, email The Reveal at 11alive.com.
Here's a preview of one of the investigations we have coming up next week on The Reveal.
For the first time, a Georgia family speaks out after video surfaces showing nursing home aides laughing at their mother's bedside while she's having a stroke.
I don't know how people can be that cruel. That's cruel.
What was missing inside their mother's room, they believe could have prevented it. A Georgia lawmaker says he has the answer.
If you're doing everything that you're supposed to do, what are you trying to hide?
Next Sunday at 6 on The Reveal.
You've been watching The Reveal, a show fueled by investigations that make an impact.
We'll see you next week on The Reveal.